It was a big day for Xbox today. The Xbox and Bethesda Games Showcase has concluded, and like in my previous video, I'm going to first share my opinion on the show overall, and then we're going to go through all the games and work them down one by one. But this was really a make or break point for Xbox. The shows in the previous years were underwhelming. We did see a lot of games, but most of them were small indie games, and people didn't care that much. People were hoping to see more heavy hitters. And the question was, could Xbox, together with Bethesda this year, deliver on this expectation of showing the heavy hitter games? And having seen the show, I can say that for me personally, they did do it. They did pull it off. I had a great time watching it. Finally, it felt like the investment that Xbox and Microsoft have been doing 3, 4, 5 years ago when they started to buy up studios. And finally, we felt this comes to fruition and it really pays off. The level of quality in the games they showed felt higher. They still did show a lot of games, a huge variety, which was also great because it felt like a celebration of all kinds of games. And they did all that without the cringy commentary in between, which other shows had. And it just, you can see it works so much better if we just see the shows. They had, Todd Howard on stage and Phil Spencer saying a few words, but that's not cringy, that's fine. People want to see those characters and hear what they have to say. So again, I had a great time watching it, a lot of fun. I think it was definitely the best Xbox show that we've seen in years, but no, it's not really a big but. But when the show finished, I still felt a little bit hungry. And what I mean by that is not that I wanted to see more games necessarily, but I felt that this was a huge opportunity for Xbox to launch a new IP that nobody ever heard before on the level, and it could just be a trailer, a teaser, on the level of a Naughty Dog game or a God of War game, of these high-end PlayStation exclusives, a Spider-Man game, something that just blows you out of your seat. I was missing that, and the show worked without it. It was still a great show. It's criticism on a very high level because a lot of the games they showed were just nearly there. Like, it was nearly on that level, but it didn't hit the final mark, so to say. For me, again, personally, that's just my opinion, but if Microsoft could have shown that game, that one game, right, that blows everybody away in the end of the show, then they would have just owned everything. That would have just been a home run, and I think it would really have potentially catapulted the Xbox way further to the front of interesting gaming hardware out there. But again, I think they did that anyway. I think they did a great job in positioning themselves. There was a lot of exciting stuff out there, and this point of criticism is really just on a very high level. It's not even really criticism, but it's funny in a way because that was the same desire that we had in the previous years, where we saw a lot of games, but we were missing like this one super AAA game. And I feel every year those Xbox shows caught up a little bit more. The first one was rather disappointing. The second year, after they purchased all those studios, was a little bit more satisfying. There was a bit more meat to the bones, so to say. And this year, it really flourish. And I think now Xbox and Microsoft are really in a good place. I'm sure they're working on games in the background that we haven't even seen, and they have this huge catalog of interesting games. So this was a great moment for Xbox. In my opinion, they turned it around. I mean, it remains to be seen how good the games actually are, but it looked really good. Let's get into the games. So they started the stream off with Starfield, which I appreciate. Don't make it the last thing. Everybody knows it exists. And especially that cinematic trailer that they showed is interesting because everyone's like, yeah, Starfield, this cinematic trailer. Oh my God. It actually tells you nothing. Really, it's completely meaningless. It's beautiful and it's cool, and we can see that it's probably Starship focused with space flight or something, because the guy sitting in his ship on a planet that looks like you don't want to do anything there except leave into space. And you can see him getting his spaceship ready and all that. So I guess we're going to space, boys. But that's pretty much all we can get out of that trailer. It looked good though. Even I did see a few FPS drops here and there. Don't know if that was maybe just due to the stream, I can't really say. Might have been on my end. But here's my thought on Starfield in general. After having seen this cinematic trailer teaser thing that we've seen now, for years people have been playing games like Star Citizen. I know it's a meme, I get it, but there's a community. People who like space sims probably have tried Star Citizen, and it's probably not the worst game in that regard. You can have fun with it. We've seen games like No Man's Sky, which shows you seamless, transportation from planets into space and an infinite sized universe and all that. We've seen games like Everspace, which are just incredibly beautiful and more like a roguelike approach, but really good dogfighting mechanics. So at this point, we have quite a broad variety of games, and I'm not saying that that takes away from the validation of Starfield, but it puts everyone in a position, and me as well, where I've played a lot of those games, and I had a lot of those experiences. Let's say 4 years ago, I was much more hungry for space sims and space-based games in general, and now with Starfield being scheduled to come out 11/11/22, so the end of next year, holiday next year, I'm just not so... I mean, it really depends on what the game is in the end, but I'm just not sure if the hunger is so strong for like a space sim. Again, the question is like, is it really a space sim? We know it's an RPG, so there will be a lot of walking around, exploring worlds, gathering materials, flying to different planets, stuff like this. It really stands and falls with what the game delivers. How does it look and how engaging is it? How far reaching is it? How open is the world? All these factors. But I can definitely witness a, let's say, a reduction in excitement for space games at this point in myself. And I don't know where I'm going to be next year Christmas. But that's just my opinion, guys. Obviously, it's really exciting. It's an exciting game, and I can't wait until we actually see the mechanics of what we will do in the game. And of course, we heard it before, the game is Xbox exclusive. And the PlayStation players are like, yeah, I don't care. That's not my problem. It looks boring anyway. I agree with you that I played many space games in the past. I don't even want to play this game. I don't really care about this. And then we got Stalker 2. It was teased in the past, but now we got to see a bit more of the game. It comes first on Xbox, and it looks awesome in my opinion. It's exactly what I was lacking from the Ubisoft show yesterday. It seems to follow a strong vision. We know the first Stalker game had this really cold, this gritty, extremely dark and merciless world. And they seem to pick up on that again and put that to the next level. You know, everyone's talking Russian. Nobody understands anything, but you get subtitles. But all these little things add to the overall world, add to the overall vibe of the game, which is extremely dark and just, you know, it really feeds off the narrative, this world that Chernobyl built. This, you know, I don't know if you've seen the HBO show. Watch the HBO show. That's an incredible TV show. But it ticked all the right boxes. You know, there was this scene where the guy was dancing without a woman in this derelict ballroom with like piano playing in the background. And it just really felt apocalyptic. We got some Metro vibes, right, from the Metro series. But that's fine in a way because it does overlap in terms of the world it happens in. And it was visually just like stunning. Again, it played so beautifully in a horribly ugly way with the Chernobyl legacy. It felt epic, and I can't wait to play this game. It's going to be fun. Even the gunplay looked a bit janky, but you know, they're working on it. Give them the benefit of the doubt. It looked great. Then we saw Back 4 Blood. Talking about shooting an arrow directly at the Ubisoft show yesterday. It's from the makers of Left 4 Dead 2, and it looks so much better than, what was it called, Rainbow Six Extraction? Just more engaging, more fun. Just the gameplay already in this trailer communicated that the game will be more fun than Extraction. In my personal opinion, you can obviously disagree on that, but it was just another lesson of them saying, I don't think it was planned like that, but of them saying, look, your game sucks, dude. This is how it's done. So Back 4 Blood, I'm excited about this one. I'm gonna play it with some friends. Looks good. Contraband, it was just like a teaser trailer cinematic thing. They fly around, and I guess they revealed that it's going to be an open world game and there will be co-op features. We saw it on some post-it notes hanging there, but not much was shown. Then they moved on to Sea of Thieves, A Pirate's Life, which is a crossover with Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean, which is also exciting. This is good stuff, you know. If you're a big Pirates of the Caribbean fan and you love Sea of Thieves, which probably are a lot of people out there, then this is cool, man. You can play the characters from the movies, you can ride the boats from the movies, you can do all the things. It's a lot of fun. And I think that's what a game like that needs. And I think they're doing a good job in just adding this kind of content that's exciting and interesting. It falls a little bit into the 80s action hero update on Warzone, right? Where they suddenly bring in Bruce Willis and Rambo or whatever. And here it's Jack Sparrow and the Pirates of the Caribbean universe. But it's cool. I like to see these huge crossovers, right? Of brands like Sea of Thieves with huge brands like Pirates of the Caribbean and Disney. It lends more credibility to the gaming world, and in general it's just fun. So it comes out June 22nd, so it's just around the corner. Next, they spoke about Yakuza Like a Dragon is coming to Gamepass, and it's already available today. Knocked another one out of the park. I'm not a big Yakuza fan, but I think a lot of people will appreciate that. And if I saw it right, correct me in the comments if this is wrong, but I think they're going to also bring all the other Yakuza games, a lot of them at least, also to Game Pass. So Game Pass, man, it becomes a deal you just can't turn down. Then they showed Battlefield 2042, and for the first time, really, we saw some proper gameplay. And it didn't look that good for me at first. In the beginning, there were a few scenes where I was like, oh, wait a second. wait, especially the graphics. I'm gonna try to put some screenshots here. It just didn't really sell me as the trailer did, right? The trailer looked unbelievable. Like, it was like, oh, that's rendered in engine? That's roughly how the game must look. And it kind of brings me all the way around to the point I made yesterday about the Ubisoft show, where they show their games on a slightly older piece of hardware in order to manage expectations. And I feel this is a little bit of a red thread. We've seen it here as well. I assume, it's just me speculating, but this was not running on a high-end 3080 Ti PC rig. This was running on a console, and this is how the game will look on a console. And I appreciate that they manage expectations like that. However, it just didn't look very good at times, and it was a little bit of a reality check on what we've seen in the trailer. But then towards the end of the footage that they showed, they had some epic scenes with like tanks, a lot of vehicle action, giant explosions. It looked good, but the game will have a giant hacker problem on launch anyway, so it doesn't. It's a different story. I made a video about it somewhere up here. Should pop up right now. You can click it, but watch it after this one. Watch this to the end first. Battlefield 2042 comes out October 22nd. Then they spoke about 12 Minutes, a game we've seen before. It's this apartment murder mystery game. Also very cool. I love games like this. It is small, but it's inspired by a theater play. It's inspired by good acting, and it's a fun experiment. I haven't seen a game like that before, where you only see a room from above, and that's pretty much the whole game. So I appreciate stuff like that. Then they showed Psychonauts, and it looked fun as well, quite trippy. I didn't play the previous Psychonauts games, but I know about Tim Schafer, and it's a legendary trademark, so to say. And it looked super fun. It was like full of cartoonish, childish joy, and it was trippy and funny. The graphics were not that good, but I mean, who really cares? It looked really good. I guess games like the new Ratchet and Clank kind of try to set a new bar on these kind of cartoonish levels, because that just looks gorgeous, despite being a cartoonish game. But Psychonauts is clearly going for like a different look, and it's very simplified, but very cool. It's a Double Fine game. It's gonna be a good game, and I enjoy it being thrown in there, in the mix with all these other games. Then Pete Hines comes out, and he says that they're adding 30 titles to Gamepass, and Doom Eternal is coming, and Skyrim, the 10-year edition. I can't believe they're still beating that dead horse. I mean, sure, it's not a dead horse, okay? People love Skyrim, and I'm sure they still have player numbers. But come on, man. It's 2021. We're waiting for Elder Scrolls 6, okay? You can't tease us like this with, like, Skyrim 10 years editions and stuff like this. Just why? Then they moved over to, like, a Fallout 76 story DLC, which will be free, coming on July 7th, also very cool, and it seems like, at least how they sold it, that the game is still alive and that stuff is still happening in the world of Fallout 76. They also kind of teased another upgrade, which is called Expeditions, The Pit, and it comes 2022, so there's a lot going on for Fallout 76, and they're basically making a statement, hey, we haven't given up on the game, we're still here, we love this game, and we see the potential in it, and maybe they can turn this around. It looked already, in terms of graphics, outdated, to say the least, but I guess, some people just don't care that much about it, and it's fine, and they're happy to put their time into a game that is Fallout, but doesn't necessarily is up to the latest graphical sense. It's totally fine. I just don't think it's gonna bring me back into the game. Then they moved over to Elder Scrolls Online, bragged about having 18 million players, and I was like, well, hold on a second. Overall, like, is that everyone who signed up? Because that game was free at some point, and that wouldn't be that much. It's a lot of people, but not that much. Then they introduced another console launch exclusive, which is Party Animals. And it's basically, I haven't played it, it looks like Gang Beasts, a little bit of Fall Guys in there as well. Like a fun party game that you can potentially even play with your kids. I'm excited about something like this, because you can kind of beat each other up as little, gummy bears or whatever. It's fun, it's a fun thing to do. Then they showed Hades, a top-down brawler coming in August. Then they spoke about Somerville. It's not summer, Somerville, coming 2022. And this kind of caught my attention. I love the looks of it, because it seems to be kind of a exploration puzzle game. It mixes kind of a 2D look from the side and a 3D environment, a little bit like Unravel did if you played that game, and it's very similar. You walk around from this 2D perspective, solve puzzles, and I don't know, you just see this family sleeping on a couch. Maybe it's all just a dream or something. It feels very dreamy, and it has like an aesthetic of, I don't know if you know the Swedish artist Simon Stalenhag, quite famous, quite iconic art that he creates. It falls into that direction a little bit, and I love the aesthetic. It looked beautiful, and despite being a smaller game, an indie game, it is something that I want to explore, something that I want to check out. So props to Somerville. I'm gonna check that game out for sure. Then the Xbox segment came in, and it was so funny. Unfortunately, I can't play it to you guys for obvious reasons, but as soon as these guys came in and the Xbox segment started, you had like cult-like music in the background. Like, oh. I don't know if it was like part of the Halo soundtrack or something, but it felt like I'm watching some kind of high-level Scientology stream or something. However, they showed Halo Infinite. They talked about the multiplayer being free, underlined that everybody knows this. This is gonna be free, guys. Has he heard that it's free? Bring him here. It's free. He doesn't know it. Bring him here. Because they obviously want to make sure that once the game launches, free to play, the multiplayer of Halo Infinite, that there's enough excitement and that everybody knows it exists and they have the player base. Then they showed in Halo Infinite in-game trailer. I think it was all in engine. It looked okay, but it had a great atmosphere. Like he was flying or kind of navigating through this debris in the spaceship, and they're like dead bodies, and it was all like accompanied by this really low, sad piano music. It was cool. It felt epic. It felt appropriate for Halo. They teased a little bit more of the landscape, and I felt that it was pretty much the same landscape we saw last time. However, this time they removed the popping. No, it wasn't the same landscape. They flew over this mountain. It looked good. It looked fair. I think Halo fans are going to enjoy this game. And then they went back talking about the multiplayer being free to play and saying that they're going to introduce Season 1 of the Halo Infinite free multiplayer. And that indicates that they're doing the Fortnite Warzone thing, right? They're Season 1 now, or the Apex Legends does it as well. And then there will be Season 2, and maybe the maps change. I don't know how they're going to do this, what kind of game types they have. But my question is, in this highly competitive space out there of free, high-quality, online competitive shooters, can Halo Infinite survive? Here's my point. I understand there's a huge fan base. A lot of these people are going to enjoy it, and I'm sure it's going to be a good game. They're going to take their time with it, but it's an arena shooter, and there are other arena shooters out there. Like mechanics, like you can't aim down sight and stuff like this. It's not a game that seems to come out of 2021 because it celebrates something that is older, and that's fair, but the question is, can this celebration of something that's older compete with games like Warzone? I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. I think it's an interesting debate to be had. Like, what role will this game take in the bigger picture? If you have thoughts on that, leave that down in the comment section below. I'd be very curious to hear your thoughts on that. Then, Diablo 2 Resurrected. People have been expecting it, but it's cool because Diablo 2, in my opinion, compared to Diablo 1, is the better game. I had a better time with Diablo 2 when that came out. And now they're adding a few cool features like 8-player co-op, which is interesting. How's that gonna work, right? Playing Diablo with 8 people? Anyway, it's gonna be fun, I'm sure. Remastered visuals, and they also had like this cinematic trailer parts of it. It looked cool. Those really dark, gritty Diablo trailers are always awesome. So they're building the world, and it looks good. I'm not sure I'm gonna play it, but I appreciate that they're doing it to an extent. I mean, they make money, and some people are going to be happy to play it. So I guess it's a win-win. And it's scheduled to come out on the 23rd of September this year. A Plague Tale Requiem was the next game they showed. I still have A Plague Tale on my Steam wishlist, and I'm sure I'm going to buy it and play it one day. But this one looked really good as well. It had like a Game of Thrones vibe to it. I don't know why, but it's like a weird, mysterious wave monster snaking through streets and swallowing up people. It looked cool. It seemed to have a great vision. Again, what we were lacking from Ubisoft. So A Plague Tale Requiem, somehow in kind of a Middle Age-esque world with some mysterious monster thing going on. And there will be a plague, I'm sure. So if you're not sick of plagues yet, you could look at that game. No, I'm sure it's fun, and I don't want to play it down. It looked really good. They moved on to Far Cry 6. And finally, we get an in-game gameplay trailer. Yeah, selling us really the idea of Far Cry 6 being a playground. Look at all these weapons. Look at these explosions. Look how that car flips over the other car. And here's a gadget. Look, this gun. You can feed it with chickens. Fun, sure, playground. If you're into that stuff, do it. We spoke about it in the Ubisoft video. I'm not going to repeat myself, but it felt a little bit without substance to me. But if you're just into the fun part of it, and that's what you play the game for, then good on you. Not trying to start a fight about Far Cry 6 here. Then Slime Rancher was introduced. Also cool. I like how they kind of go from these really dark, gritty games to a one like that, with just a childish, Kirby-like game, it felt to me. You run around and it's a first-person game, but you have like a Hoover and you suck up these little cute creatures. And it felt like a colorful, light-hearted first-person shooter for kids, which is great. With cute characters and bubble guns and stuff like that. Awesome. I want to play it. I'll probably play it with my son, so a good time there. Shredders. This game confused me a little bit in the bigger picture because it's basically a snowboard simulator, and we've all played Steep, right? We got that for free on Epic or whatever. And it was a fun game. I still play Steep sometimes in the evening. I have a good time with it, but it was a flop. The game wasn't commercially successful, so why would they now go for a snowboard simulator that is also, apparently, looking at this trailer, exclusively about snowboarding? In Steep, at least, you had the other fun sports. You know, you could like paraglide down mountains and wingsuit through K. I don't know what you could do, but it's fun. You have a variety of things that you can explore in Steep. If here you can only do snowboarding, I don't really know where they're going with it. But then again, you know, there are games like Skate and stuff out there which are exclusively about skating. And maybe they managed to put so much depth into the snowboarding mechanic that it's actually fun and that it works as a game in itself. I really enjoyed these bold camera movements that they had when flying behind the player. I don't know if that was just for the trailer, but it looked really like they're experimenting around with how the camera moves behind the player and how it can look a bit more cineastic maybe as you're playing. So that looked good. And then Atomic Heart. This just totally confused me, right? It looked fun and trippy, and I looked it up. It's by Mundfish, which seems to be a Russian developer. But it also had like a strange Japanese vibe to me, where you had like weird plush animals or people in plush animal suits walking on green grass and stuff exploding in the background, and everything is just bizarre. So I got that kind of Japanese art direction vibe from it, not necessarily the RPG vibe, but you know, the art direction. It looked just strange. So I don't know what to make of Atomic Heart yet. But I'm going to follow it. Again, it's another one where I look at it and I'm like, whoa, that's just what's going on. I don't even know what's going on. So that's a good thing. Next, they showed Replaced. A cool pixel art mixed with 3D visuals. You know, you have some 3D parts and then 2D pixel sprites moving around. Look cool, gorgeous aesthetic, dark Blade Runner vibes with neon lights in the rain and stuff. Interesting game. I'll buy it in a sale. Coming out 2022. Next was Grounded. Remember that game that's like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, where you run around the yard as a tiny person? They're bringing updates to that, and it's the Shroom and Doom update, and it brings incredible key features like sitting down. Okay, people have been waiting for that apparently a long time. Mushrooms, achievements, giant spiders, right? And you even have and I find this actually interesting, you have an arachnophobia mode. So if you can't handle the giant spider in the tunnel, you just switch that off, and the giant spider turns into kind of a disgusting bubble that attacks you. It's seemingly the same game mechanic to beat the spider, but you don't have to expose yourself to that disgusting look of a spider in a tunnel. So that's cool stuff. I don't know if you're going to see more of that in the future in other games. I hope we do. So maybe people who, you know, are really sensitive to, I don't know, zombie gore or something, they can play zombie games because they can just turn the zombies into balloon figures. I think having an option like that is cool. It's coming June 30th, so it's also around the corner. Among Us got a little segment. They get 15-player lobbies now, a few other updates, good stuff. Then they showed Eiyuden Chronicle. It's a JRPG. It looks like a JRPG. Then they showed the Ascent, which is kind of a top-down shooter, a bit like Alien Swarm and a few other games out there. It's a known genre. It doesn't reinvent the wheel, but again, it looks fun. Then Age of Empires 4. For me as a German, a highlight, right? We love our strategy games, and I do as well. Age of Empires, love the series. I do fail at it, I'm not very good, but it's a lot of fun, and I do appreciate the games. And Age of Empires 4 looks great, it looks epic. I appreciate that they bring this whole historic authenticity in, a little bit at least. You can play through the different ages and evolve your... Okay, nobody cares, I understand, let's move on. So the next trailer was really weird. I don't know if you saw the show, but it was this Fourth Wall trailer where they show gorgeous landscapes and stuff, and they're like, we're gonna show them wide landscapes with a horizon, so it indicates that we're giving them a big game. And then some guy flies through the air shooting, and it says, we need to show some action in the trailer. That pumps up the pre-order numbers. And it was just kind of a fourth wall troll all the way through. In the end, it turns out it's the Outer Worlds 2. I appreciated the trailer. It made me laugh. It was very clever and funny. I haven't played the Outer Worlds 1, but Outer Worlds 2 confirmed. It's another thing we didn't know about, right? Am I mistaken here? I didn't know this exists. So it's another big reveal, really, for many people. I think the game was quite popular with a lot of people. Flight Simulator coming July 27th to Xbox. I think we already knew that, but the difference is that they are now introducing a Top Gun Maverick pack. And it's gonna be free. Nobody saw that part coming, I expect, but it is free. You can play as Tom Cruise. Obviously, you won't look like Tom Cruise, but you can imagine being Tom Cruise inside all your pilot gear. And I think you can land on aircraft carriers and fly the canyons that we've seen in Top Gun. It's fun. It's good stuff. It's another crossover to a big brand because there will be another movie, right? Another Top Gun movie. Is it called Maverick? Probably. They're doing the right thing here because they're getting a huge variety of people excited about all kinds of different games. I think we already knew that Flight Simulator is coming on this date, but it looked great. It looked really good. Next actually blew me away, the next game. Visually, Forza Horizon 5 coming to the next-gen consoles, and they're adding Mexico, part of Mexico, but it looked very sharp, extremely sleek. Loads of scans of real-world geometry. I think they call it photogrammetry, and it looks stunning because these are literal real-world assets that basically look like real-world assets. And I nearly felt, looking at this gameplay, I nearly felt that it's such a shame that you can't get out of your car. They had this one moment where they showed this mural on the wall, the painting, and the car stopped, and the camera kind of flew over the car, and you were in kind of a quick photo mode, which I guess kind of replaces walking around. But at this point, it nearly feels like with that level of detail, why can I not stop the car, create a character, get out of my car, look at something? Why don't they start adding a little bit more detail into the world that I can interact with? A few key points, maybe a few social hubs. I don't expect them to turn it into a GTA game, but I think there's a missed opportunity there with all that detail. Even if it's just social activities, everyone comes, brings their cars, and then everyone can get out of their car, and then you do a campfire on the top of a mountains with your friends, in Forza or something. I think something like that would be quite cool. But I don't think they're gonna go for that. It's a racing game, okay? You gotta understand, it's a racing game. And they showed quite a lot of gameplay, actually, and I love that this one guy, and I'm quoting here, he was like, this player just got challenged in Horizon's open world battle royale eliminator. It's like, wait, what? The open world battle royale eliminator? So guy pulls up next to other guy while driving, and he can challenge him to a race. And maybe other people can join in as well, and then it becomes an open world battle royale eliminator. Has everyone heard that we used the term battle royale over here? Yeah, in the game. It's it's battle royale in Forza. Yeah, you should try it out. I don't know why they put it there. It's basically an elimination race. But dude, gotta have the term in there. Gotta say the Battle Royale word in 2021. They also introduced a few other fun mods. A Piñata mode, where you drive around and catch piñatas. There's a GTA fun mod, ironically, where you kind of drive through giant bowling pins and try to knock them over. It's a fun mode. It's coming November 9th. Great stuff, there's nothing wrong with it. It looked great visually, and we all know that Forza always has been an outstanding game as well. And then after Phil Spencer said a few words, they had their "and here's one more thing" moment, and they showed Redfall, another Xbox exclusive by Arkane. Yeah, we know the guys behind Dishonored and Prey. And it's a vampire game. They only showed a cinematic trailer, but again, it feels like a kind of Left 4 Dead-ish twist with vampires. A 4-player co-op experience. I don't know how much choice you have about these characters that they showed. It's coming summer 22. So a little bit of a wait there, but it looked good as well. Redfall looked great. And especially when it comes from Arkane, I do expect them to have some of their unique twists on this game. It's not just gonna be a Left 4 Dead clone. There's gonna be more meat to the bones. But looking forward to this. And that's it. That's everything they showed. And it was great. It was a great selection. It was just fun. It just felt fun to watch all these games. A lot of games that we hadn't seen before, picking out of some of the games that we had seen before, delivering a bit more information. It didn't feel forced. It just was a good, entertaining watch. And there were games, I would argue, probably for everybody. Like there's something in there where anybody would say, oh yeah, that looks, at least it looks interesting. And the other big insight we have to have from the show, because they kept reiterating on it, is that Game Pass is a good deal. And it's really true. I don't own Game Pass myself, but I keep seeing these games being added to it. And if you are kind of on a budget and you just want to play a lot of games, have a lot of time on your hand, then Game Pass, there's no competition for it. It's absolutely incredible. It's the closest that we are at the moment when it comes to a Netflix type subscription model for games. And Microsoft is doing a great job, or Xbox is doing a great job at managing that constantly new content is being flooded into it, and that people are not regretting being subscribed to this service. So this is kind of the crown on top of all the games we just saw, that they have this service and pushing it forward. And I say, having seen this show now, it's like, your move, Sony. I want to see where you go from here, because you have your exclusives, and we know that you can release 2 exclusives a year that are really, really strong. But where's your answer to Game Pass? Where's your answer to this huge amount of interesting and curious games that people can explore? I understand that your games are at an extremely high level, and like I said in the beginning, I'm kind of missing the Naughty Dog exclusive level type game in this Xbox show. But at some point, to me, it feels like that's nearly all you have. Like that's these high-end, these polished exclusive games are everything that are holding your concept of a game console above water. So I really want to see what Sony is going to do and how they're going to answer to this. I mean, we know that Sony is not going to be at E3. I think for the 3rd year in a row, they're not participating. They're like, no, this is stupid. We're not doing this. And in a way, they're not wrong. But they're going to have to deliver something. Because I think at the moment, sure, you know, everybody wants a PS5. People are still desperate to get their hands on the hardware. But at the same time, I see a lot of people complaining that there's nothing to play on it. And people on PC get so many exclusives that are now crossing over to PC and look better there and run better. While people on their PlayStation are just not getting the content that they're hoping for. At least that's what I hear from people out there. Anyway, what are your thoughts on all this? What was your highlight of this year's Xbox and Bethesda Games Showcase? Leave that down in the comment section below. Do you feel that I misjudged a few games or, you know, didn't treat them appropriately? Leave that down in the comment section as well. I'm curious to hear your thoughts about this whole show. Are you as excited as me about this? Do you also feel that Xbox kind of just turned it around and they are in a very good position now? Or do you feel it was pretty much like what we've seen in the last years where they're just oversaturating games and it was mostly indies and disappointing? Leave your thoughts in the comments. I read all the comments and I try to reply to as many as I can. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. If you did, smash the like button. I'd appreciate a sub as well. Hit the bell. YouTube wants me to say these things, okay? Do it. Just do it. God damn it. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. I'm out. Bye.